Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Residual Wessuc webinar. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lauren McCallum, and I'm the Northeastern Regional Sales Manager at Wessuc. As passionate stewards of our world, Wessuc champions healthy soils, clean water, which is a fancy way of saying we care about the world we all live and work and play in. Our speakers today are myself, Adrian Simpson, our land coordinator here at Wessuc. We're also have our marketing team behind the scenes, making sure that everything goes smoothly as they always do. Before I pass things on to our speakers, just a few housekeeping notes. You, our audience, are in listen mode, meaning you're on mute and we cannot hear you. Please enter any comments in the questions area. Even insults are welcome. The Q&A, following today's webinar, you'll receive a follow-up email and a copy of this presentation. So if you do have to leave, we hope you don't. No worries, we'll keep you posted. We appreciate if you spread the word using hashtag #WhyWessucWebinar on all social platforms today. Before we move onto the agenda for the day, here's an icebreaker poll. The question will pop up on the screen, and if you choose, you can answer it. All answers are anonymous, and this is a very serious question. Who is your favorite character in the series Yellowstone? Well, pretty interesting. 63% of you said, what's Yellowstone? We just thought we'd make a little fun here. Our agenda today is simple. First, we'll introduce ourselves for those of you who do not know us. Then we'll talk about NASM and what that means, our land application process, the benefits of biosolids, and alternative reuse methods. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. So, who is Wessuc? Well, Wessuc was established in April 2000, over 20 years of experience. Privately owned and operated Canadian company, 115 employees. Wessuc focuses on environmental benefits. And as I said earlier, we're passionate stewards of our world. We're champions of healthy soils and clean water. Wessuc safety is very important to us here at the Wessuc family. We want to make sure everyone gets home to their families and loved ones at the end of each day. So we take it serious, we're core certified, and we make sure we look after our employees and each other every day. Wessuc services. We have many as we've grown through the years. Land application, which we're talking about today, both NASM and ASM. We have various haulage units. We do NASM planning through our team. Lagoon storage, both in Sarnia and in Brantford, and others to grow. Spot repair, grouting, CCTV inspections, tank cleanouts, lagoon cleaning, mobile dewatering, vac services, flushing, swabbing, pump station cleanouts, and stormwater pond cleaning. And now I'll pass this over to my teammate, Adrian.
Thanks, Lauren. We're going to talk a little bit about what is NASM. NASM is a term that is very commonly used. It stands for non-agricultural source material. NASM is treated and recycled material that is covered under OMAFRA. It's a little bit hard to define, but you can see some examples here. Fruit and vegetable peels, food processing waste, pulp and paper biosolids, sewage biosolids, leaf and yard waste, and a variety of other organic materials that are beneficial to be applied on agricultural fields. And then next, we're going to talk about the land application process. Basically, it starts from the haulage side. Wessuc will haul away material directly from your site, whether that be a municipality, a private business. We have 25 tanker trucks ranging in size from 38 meters cubed to 45 meters cubed. I believe the majority of our trucks are the 45 meters cubed, which allows us to move a lot of material in a short amount of time. One of the options to haul to is our lagoon facilities that Lauren will touch in more detail on later. In Sarnia, we have about 33,000 meters cubed of storage. Brantford, we have about 12,000 meters cubed of storage. And they hold the material that meet the NASM approved material. The land side, so we can, if we don't need that storage and it's during the regular land application season of April 1st to November 30th, we can haul that material directly to NASM approved land. And currently, Wessuc manages around 400,000 meters cubed annually, and that's in our two land, I guess 3 land application locations right now of up in Barrie, down in Brantford, and down in Sarnia around our lagoon facility. We're going to show a quick video here, a commercial that CTV put together for us, and it will hopefully give you a broad picture as to what it actually looks like.
On the farm, the land means growth and life. Now, growth creates and needs a healthy, safe solution. At Wessuc, we are innovators, protectors, and leaders, bringing environmentally responsible and sustainable waste management solutions all over Ontario. Our team of operators land apply nutrient-rich organic-based material like biosolids and manure, using the world's first flow control dragline system.
Our pump is just on the edge of the road to the tractor directly, so there's no material being exposed to the air. Tractor doesn't have to stop. As long as the trucks keep coming, the material keeps pumping.
Improving crop yields and protecting the natural environment. We're proud to help farmers and cities turn waste into value. Looking to improve your soil? Call us to see how we can help.
And depending on your internet connection there, it might have been a little bit broken up. If that was the case, it will be there in the recording that you guys get after the webinar, and it should be nice and smooth there for you guys. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the equipment. Some of it you've seen in the video. The tanker trucks that we have, like I said, they range from 38 meters cubed from our old trailers to most of our trailers are the new ones of 45 cubic meters. We have straight trucks that are nice and easy to unload. And we also have trains, which gives us the advantage of getting into some smaller spaces or smaller plants with a little bit tighter access for turning. From the loading, we can either load directly from the pumps at different facilities that are already there, or we do have the ability to set up our own pumps and overhead loading to load the trucks quickly and safely and efficiently. The trucks then drop the material off down at the frac tank. A frac tank is just that big square container at the road, and it's basically there so that we can unload the truck as fast as possible and still give the tractor time to actually spread the material. So we can't spread the material as fast as a truck can unload. So in order to increase productivity, we can get that truck unloaded and back on its way to the source, and gives the tractor time to apply that material. As you can see a picture in the background there of our tractor, we've been running John Deere's for the last couple of years. They've been doing real well for us. We have duals on the back to decrease compaction for the farmers. And as you can see, it pulls an injection bar. We have a couple different types, but that there you see is the 3-point unit, and it pulls that drag line. It's the hose that you see, and the tractor doesn't have to go back for material. The material is pumped from the frac tank with a high pressure pump directly to the tractor, and the tractor just goes back and forth, GPS controlled, to make sure that the material is spread very evenly and accurately. And Wessuc did develop the world's first flow controlled dragline system. Not sure if that's of any interest to any of you, but a normal dragline system reduces the flow in order to control and accurately apply the material at a certain rate. Whereas our system is hooked into the tractor's transmission to allow the flow to remain constant as fast as we can pump it. And the transmission of the tractor speeds up the tractor or slows it down depending on the flow that it's getting. And that's how we manage to spread accurately and yet not have to decrease the amount of material that we're pumping. So we can spread much more material in the same amount of time. So as we said, our current land programs are about 400,000 meters cubed per year. That covers about 25 different municipalities. Some plants are large and have a lot of volume, and some are just a little bit small. We do have equipment to service pretty much all the needs there. And that 400,000 cubic meters requires a lot of land. So we do have a quite extensive land base, and we spread annually around 2,376 hectares, or 6,602 acres. And now that we still have a lot more acreage and hectares in our land program, because we can't spread those acreages year after year. We pretty much have to have 3 times that amount of acreage in our program in order to allow the farmers to rotate their crops and allow us time to get in there and apply for them. The benefits of biosolids. To a lot of people, biosolids are kind of a waste product to be disposed of, but to the farmers that we are bringing the material to, they see it as a sustainable resource. They're constantly buying commercial fertilizers to get their crops producing the way that they need to. And biosolids reduces the amount of commercial fertilizers that they need to purchase. And anyone in the agricultural industry will know that we're kind of in an unprecedented time of fertilizer prices right now, whether it's due to COVID and the lack of transportation and receiving fertilizers, or whether it's the lack of the actual mining of them. They are not a renewable resource, and they do require a lot of trucking. So prices right now are through the roof, and constantly being changed on the farmers. So biosolids are of benefit to them now more than ever before. It's not just a replacement of commercial fertilizers, though. There's more in a biosolid because it's an organic product, and it also improves their soil. So it enhances the soil structure, moisture retention. So a healthy soil sucks up the water and holds it there. So if it's a dry summer, the crops can still manage and push through those dry spells if the soil is healthy and can retain moisture. And soil permeability, equally as important as it retaining water. A healthy soil also allows the water to cycle down through, so that it's not a big mud pit whenever farmers are working and spraying and doing what they need to do. Also increases nutrients. So sewage biosolids, especially, as well as other organic products, contain nitrogen, phosphorus, organic matter, and micronutrients, and more. So each product, depending on its source, has its own nutrients quantities. And as long as they meet beneficial use and are helpful to the farmers, then we can receive them and transport them to the field program. And Lauren can talk about other options if it doesn't. If it doesn't meet that beneficial use, it just means that it's not a benefit to the farmer's field. And then there's Wessuc also has other options, whether or not it's taking it to the landfill, or topping off landfill as fill. And Lauren can touch a little bit more on those options. So what kind of crops? So biosolids are applied to crops that don't go directly into the human food chain without processing. The majority of the crops are commodity grains and animal feed. And so you can see those little pictures. We got wheat. A lot of cash croppers will grow winter wheat, corn, soybeans, and as well as hay. Those are our main crops that we deal with our farmers. And we mostly, I guess, depending on who you are, if you're a municipality, the main spreading season, or I should say, the best spreading window that we have is after winter wheat is harvested, which is the end of July. So a lot, if you guys have material in mind specifically that you're thinking that might fit well in a land program and that farmers would love, try to plan your tenders to probably end of July, August, September, October. Those are probably the most productive months because the wheat comes off the field. The farmers don't necessarily have anything to go onto the field again until spring. So that gives us some nice dry months to get into the fields and get that material applied for them. So here's an example of a farmer that we applied for down in Brantford, in our Brantford land program. And you can see on the far left, that is a map that our tractor GPS gave us of where to spread. Now, we unfortunately didn't have enough material to cover the whole field, as you see. We just had enough for that triangle. And we were able to see in this middle picture from Google Images, that dark triangle show up from the satellite imagery. And that dark color just means that those plants are healthier, that the photosynthesis is able to be done more healthily and quicker. And then on the far right, sometimes you wonder, okay, it's a different color, so what? The right picture shows a yield map. And so the farmer's combine had the ability to actually record the exact bushel per acre difference as it was combining. And you can see that the exact same triangle as in the other two pictures. And that light green color is just simply a higher yield, consistently higher yield. Now, there was some other sections of the field that were also a higher yield that biosolids were not there. And you're going to see that fluctuate in a field no matter what was applied. But it's pretty exciting to see, and certainly makes Wessuc proud to be land applying biosolids when you can see that evidence of a healthier crop, healthier soil, and ultimately a happy farmer. So we love to share this example as it's so clear with the data and the pictures. This here is this is the report that we give farmers at the end of every application. And this is an example from our Bradford program up in the Barrie area. And we, on the top right corner, so we have the analysis in the top. We have some field information and size in the middle. On the left, we have the volume. So we applied 1,750 meters cubed to this field. And at the top right is kind of what the farmers are kind of excited to see. And I just got the updated numbers for fertilizer. There, the pounds of N, pounds of P, and pounds of K. And it comes out to $219 per acre that the farmer is getting free of charge. And that's not including, that's just in fertilizer. That's not including the tillage that generally we go along with, will go along with the application. And so whenever the farmer goes to order his fertilizer, he'll consider the numbers of pounds per acre of nitrogen that we're able to apply, acre of phosphorus, and the pounds per acre of potassium. And then he can just reduce the amount of fertilizer that he's going to order for the next crop, and that translates directly to savings for him. At this time, I'm going to pass it back over to Lauren to discuss the other options if land application isn't something that would work for you. I'll join back on screen to answer any questions a little bit later.
Thank you, Adrian. As we talked about earlier on, we are stewards of our land and soils and water, and it's very important that we minimize waste. How do we prevent things from going from landfill, which is going to become mandated in the next few years anyways? So what do we do with the material during the year, but more importantly, what do we do in the wintertime? So in the winter, we have our lagoons in Sarnia and Brantford, with others coming. But we take them to those lagoons so that only if they have beneficial reuse. The materials that don't have beneficial reuse, we try and take them to a biodigester to produce RNG. We may have a farmer who needs some feedstock, and that material that we've received can go to that. And we're always searching and trying to find proper solutions so that, one, it doesn't go into our soil, doesn't go into our water, and doesn't go to landfill. So anaerobic digesters, as I said, there's more and more coming on. When I first started with Wessuc many years ago, there was one farmer up in Pembroke who had a digester that he was producing RNG. Today, they're in the dozens, and they grow every year. So RNG is renewable natural gas, for those of you who haven't heard that term before, and it's becoming another source of fuel, whether it's for our vehicles, heating plants, running generators, but it's just a way to help reduce and reuse materials. So we have another poll question. Do you currently use any of Wessuc's residual services? I'll give you a few minutes to answer that. I'll give you a few more minutes. Numbers are going up and down. Okay, looks like about 76% of you currently aren't using any of our residual services. At any time, if you want to talk, whether you have an application or just want more information, please reach out to Adrian or I directly. So I'll ask Adrian to join back with me, and we'll open the floor to questions. I think we've got, I'll leave this question to Adrian.
Yep. I'm just replying to Ken. He said the farmer in me wants to know savings for crop fertilizer per acre, and I believe might have been before that last slide. But the nutrient report, I think, was about $219 per acre, and that's all dependent on the product. Yeah, 219 right here, value of Biosolids. So in the whole field saved him about 7,000 or gave him $7,270 worth of fertilizer, but per acre it was the 219. Now, obviously, if the material is more water and less nutrients, or I should say less potent, that value will decrease. But that's just a real live example of a plant that we currently service. So.
Thanks, Adrian. I'll take this next one. How do you know if material is sustainable? Every source that asks us to help them, we take various samples, send them to a lab to be analyzed. From that, Rob Mills, part of our team, he will tell us that is the material have beneficial reuse? If it doesn't, what other source can we investigate or have conversations with those people? And hopefully that answers your question. Would you add anything to that, Adrian?
Yeah, Lauren, it comes down to basically numbers. Your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It either has to provide a minimum in those areas, or another option would be your organic matter. If it's a very high organic matter but low nutrients, that can also be a benefit. So it's basically got to meet those two categories, as well as some I don't want to say common sense categories, but it also has to be not a detriment to the farmer. So it can't have foreign objects in it. It can't have large amounts of plastic or rags. So a lot of sources that receive vac material directly into the storage and it hasn't been screened. Sometimes we run into issues and we'll then have to screen the product. So we can still use it. It just requires a little bit more processing before we can use it.
Questions for you, Adrian, today. I'll let you grab that one.
Yeah, the category 3 NASM, yes. So our storage facility in Sarnia is currently open to, as long as, of course, it meets the beneficial use minimum. It is open to category 3 NASM. So sewage biosolids is category 3. There's different types, obviously, within that category, but yeah, we're currently open to receiving those materials and reusing them in the land program.
Looks like we have another question there for you, Adrian.
Yeah, so apart from nutrients, are there other benefits to biosolids to the soil? Like I said, the organic matter would be apart from the nutrients. Basically, in Ontario, currently our soils are being, the organic matter in the soils are being reduced just due to tillage and different farming practices. And so any material that can add the organic matter is of benefit. If it doesn't meet those two criteria, like I say, the nutrients and the organic matter, it doesn't necessarily have to go to landfill. We have taken material out of lagoons that is more, it's more just dirt, or sediment. I know we had someone asking about pond sediment, and there's nothing wrong with pond sediment, but it's just not, depending on the analysis, it's not always helpful to apply as a fertilizer to a field. In which case there might be other options like fill, as landfills are decommissioned. They require large amounts of fill to be brought in to cover up the waste, the garbage piles. And so sometimes we can find alternatives in that direction.
Well, it seems we've run out of questions, Adrian. Anything else you can think of?
I don't think so. I'm surprised. I'm surprised nobody asked about COVID and biosolids, but maybe they're all professionals on that.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, we do run the NASM land program from April 1st to November 30th, right, Adrian?
That's correct. Yeah, those are now the spring months. Are regular municipalities that have long-term contracts. That's their crunch time. They've been filling up all winter and they're full, and so we're going really, really hard come April, May. June, July, farmers have their crops in. There's not as much, there's very little acreage other than hay to actually get on and get material down. So municipalities will notice a slowdown during those 2 months, end of July to the end of the spreading season being November 30th. We then go hard again on the winter wheat, and then eventually soybeans come off and we can get on soybeans. And so those are kind of our windows. So although it starts from April 1st to November 30th, it's not consistent throughout that whole time. There is kind of your pressure time in the spring, your slow time in the summer, and then you're kind of wide open, looking for as much material to provide to the farmers come end of July to November.
Yeah,
I
and
see.
yeah, and then the other part I didn't want to pass by just because that's our program, but December through the end of March, we are able to receive that material, put them either in our lagoons or find another application for them. So it's a year-round program. It's just the spreading season is restricted to April through November. Yes, there are a couple more questions there, Adrian. If you would
Yes.
like to take, it looks like they're all towards you.
Yeah, the heavy metal concerns. That's a common, I guess, issue that's floating around there. So I would first start that heavy metals are a natural element in the environment. So whether it be in soil, so we're not talking about heavy metals. Are they in biosolids? And if they are, we shouldn't receive them. It's a matter of, okay, how much heavy metals are in the soil to start with before any material even gets to the farm. So the fields are sampled for the 11 regulated heavy metals, as well as the biosolids or whatever product, depending on which category it falls in. If they're known to have heavy metals, then they'll require sampling as well. And then it's just a matter of making sure that those limits don't exceed safe limits for any environment. And actually, there are areas that have never received biosolids that if you sample it, they'll be really high in some areas. Whether it be from something that was done in the past, whether it be just naturally there in the environment, in which case, if we find those soils are already like that, then we won't be able to apply, because it's not that heavy metals are bad, it's just they're bad in large amounts. And I always like to use the example of toothpaste. You use small amounts, because if you you eat a tube of toothpaste, it's technically poison, right? So do we have any examples for land applying on vegetables? No, we do not, because the large part of our land program are sewage biosolids, which do not allow application on any edibles that go directly into the food chain, like vegetables. So I don't have any, we don't have any experience. We generally try to stay away from them. And to be honest, the veggie growers try to stay away from us too. It's not that it would poison everyone instantly. It just doesn't go good on their slogans. Is there a cost to receiving the liquid product as a farmer? No, it's free for charge for them, and the municipality is providing the funds to dispose of the biosolids, and the farmers are the ones benefiting from that disposal price. And I would like to add that land application is pretty much always the cheapest priced for disposal. So if it does meet the beneficial use criteria, the farmers get a free material, but it's also the cheapest price that we can offer to the municipalities. Is that right, Lauren? Is that all right
Right.
Yeah, okay.
You're correct. It's the cheapest cost to the municipality or the source.
Yeah. Is there any benefit to reducing soil erosion? There would be a small amount, but it wouldn't be your main way of reducing soil erosion. There's many other farming methods, like making sure there's a living crop and root systems holding the soil together at all times. That would be definitely give you a faster result. There are small benefits in the sense of when you improve soil structure, it kind of sticks together. Like a healthy soil is kind of like crumbly and sticks together and is less likely to just wash away as a sediment would. Some soils that have been abused, they are more like sand, in which case when water comes over them, it just carries it away and it doesn't stick together at all. Still got a couple minutes if anyone's got some more questions.
Yeah, by all means. I'll leave it with you, Adrian, to wrap this up.
Okay. Oh man, now we got a whole bunch of questions coming in. Can't ignore them.
No, we can't.
Yes. So have you seen any lasting changes to the soil quality after multiple years of application or extended use? So yeah, we do. I've been in the land program in this role for 10 and a half years now. And so I do have the privilege of actually servicing the same farmers, the same fields. I know them inside and out. And now you soil sample every 5 years to see kind of how the nutrients is doing. If it gets too rich, then we don't apply because it's not of benefit to over fertilize a farm either. So I have seen soil analysis actually reflect the use of biosolids. So as the farmer's reducing his fertilizer, we're applying biosolids regular, whether it's every other year, every 3 years, every year, depends on how much. And we do get to see those soil numbers go up. We get to see his yields either increase or they stay relatively the same, but he's putting less inputs in. And yeah, so it is kind of an exciting thing to be part of. A lot of these farmers, they love the program. They're calling me, trying to give me farms, and so yeah, it's a pleasure to do that. Does the farmer have to pay for the NASM plan? No, the NASM plan is also included, as well as the soil sampling and the site assessment, and that whole the whole land application program is free to the farmer. So that's all included. All right. Well, we'll yeah, we can't thank you guys enough for joining us today. I know your time is valuable to us, and we hope that you at least took one tidbit of information home with you guys. We would greatly appreciate if you there's a survey afterwards. It's not mandatory, but if you had the time, if you'd participate in that, it'll pop up automatically as you close your webinar window. And everyone will receive a follow-up email when probably about half an hour to an hour after the webinar is finished here. And thanks again, Lauren, for joining us, and most importantly to you guys, our attendees. Without you, this webinar is not possible. And stay safe, and we hope to see you or your products out in the field. Take care.
Thanks, Adrian. Bye, everyone.